just had the hammer dropped on their head, not by me, not by a coach or by a player, but by the Supreme Court, as the Supreme Court sides with the players. And we're going to talk about how that changes the world forever next. What's happening, everybody? Jeff Lightsy Jr. here at the Black Boss Channel and Victory Formation. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and the notification bell because we upload every single day. Now, the Supreme Court has decided in unanimous decision, nine judges to 0, nobody was opposed, that the NCAA players will now start to get more compensation from their schools that they attend. And not only that's just scratching the surface. This is going to get so big that eventually players will be able to get paid not just for their name, image, and likeness, but more than likely from each university that they attend. So we're going to read for you some of the information that comes out of the Supreme Court after their 9-0 decision to force the NCAA to pay or to come up off some of that bread to go to the players. Now, it says the Supreme Court of the United States unanimously affirmed a ruling Monday that provides the incremental increase in how college athletes can be compensated and also opens the door for future legal challenges that could deal a much more significant blow to the NCAA's current business model. That's what's so big. It's not just what they came to, the decision that they came to yesterday on Monday, but it's also some of the statements that they put out. It's also the rhetoric that they put out. It's also the precedent that they have set that they are going to allow these athletes to get paid. They are no longer going to allow the NCAA to just say your scholarship is your compensation. That is no longer the case. The decision that was made by the Supreme Court tells everyone that a scholarship is not adequate to the money that is being brought in by said student athlete. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, because we're going to dive into this heavily this morning. So continue reading. This comes from ESPN. It says Justice Neil Gorsuch, I don't want to screw up his name too much, I don't know all the justices, which upheld a district court judge's decision that the NCAA was violating antitrust law by placing limits on the education-related benefits that schools can provide the athletes. Education-related benefits such as laptops. They wouldn't give student athletes laptops to complete schoolwork. They wouldn't allow student athletes to get paid internships because that violates NCAA rules. Let's moving on. The decision allows schools to provide their athletes with unlimited compensation as long as it in some way connects to their education. Gorsuch wrote that the nation's highest court limited the scope of its decision on those educated-related benefits rather than delivering the further into questions above the association's business model. Justice Brett Kavanaugh published a concurring opinion that stakes a harder line, suggesting this is big because this comes straight from one of the justices. You already got all 9 to vote that, there's no unlimited resources. Hell, they bring you billions of dollars every year. There should be unlimited resources as far as their education-related purposes. But Brett Kavanaugh actually took it a step further, and this is big because he's one judge, and they already decided 9-0 that they should get more money. But most of the judges probably feel like how Kavanaugh feels. And let's read what Kavanaugh said. Let's see, the rules that restrict any type of compensation, including direct payments for athletes' accomplishments. This is a quote from Brett Kavanaugh. Quote, "The NCAA is not above the law," Kavanaugh wrote. The NCAA couches its arguments for not playing student athletes in an unconscious labels, but the labels cannot disguise the reality. The NCAA's business model would be flatly illegal in almost any other American industry. Think about what Kavanaugh is saying. This is huge. He says the NCAA's business model would be illegal if it was any other person, any other entity, any other business model, any other industry in an entire American workforce. The NCAA's work model would be illegal. Basically, so what Kavanaugh said. So let's rewind a little bit. I want to encapsulate all of this before we break it down. So The students or the people representing the athletes sued because athletes were not allowed to have things such as laptops, or the school wasn't paying for laptops or paying for computers or allowing student athletes to get paid internships. If you took a paid internship, you would be in direct violation of NCAA rules, right? They weren't giving these guys laptops so they could do schoolwork. They weren't giving these guys funds, these guys and ladies. Let me not disrespect the ladies. They weren't giving these athletes school funding for education-related purposes. So it got all the way up, it went through the court system. The people representing the students would win every single time, and it appealed so much it got all the way up to the Supreme Court. This is the first time the Supreme Court has ruled on anything in regards to student athletes in the NCAA since 1985. Since 1985. So this is why this is so big. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, guys. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Why this is so big? Because if we're going to reread Kavanaugh's statement again, because the Supreme Court, like I said, because they weren't giving them laptops, because they weren't allowing them to get things like paid internships, because it would be in quote unquote direct violation of NCAA ruling. It went all the way up to Supreme Court after all of the appeals, because all the lower court judges were voting in favor of the players. It got up to the Supreme Court, and obviously the Supreme Court voted 9-0. Think about how hard that is. This is a split Supreme Court. There's liberals, there's Republicans, there's conservatives, there's Democrats. You know what I mean? Like the Supreme Court is not all one abiding party. These guys disagree on everything. These guys and gals disagree on everything, but they were 9-0 in favor of the student athlete. So, and in Kavanaugh's statement, he basically said, we are going to allow unlimited resources towards educational purposes, but what the NCAA is doing is illegal. It would be illegal in any other entity, any other business model, any other industry in the entire country. So what he said was, by saying that what they're doing is illegal, he is saying you guys didn't sue for enough. If any other NCAA, related court case gets back up to the Supreme Court, we are going to rule in favor of the players. You guys didn't sue for enough because what they're doing is illegal. And it's been illegal. And now, because they ruled 9-0, because Kavanaugh has come out and said this is illegal, because these things are being said and being done by the nation's highest court. This is the Supreme freaking Court, the nation's highest court. You don't go above the Supreme Court. Now that this precedent has been set, the floodgates are now open. The floodgates are now open. And if you are a player, and if you are a coach or your team or whoever, it's really the players, and forget the coaches and universities, my bad. I mean, they add them. If you are a player, there is nothing a school, a conference, the NCAA can tell you, because it's illegal. What they're currently doing, their current business model is illegal. And the Supreme Court has come out and said this. So, right now, on July 1, name, image, and likeness is going to go into effect for 18 states. What that means is players in 18 different states, this includes like California and Mississippi, and there's a bunch of states. There's 18 different states. They're going to pass a law that includes name, image, and likeness. What that means is players can now get paid for their name, image, and likeness. What does that mean? So if I am, who's your favorite college athlete? Let's use my favorite college athlete was Lamar Jackson. So let's use Lamar Jackson. He's out of the University of Louisville. Well, no, Kentucky doesn't count. Never mind. We got to use somebody. Let's use one of the guys from Jackson State. We love Jackson State, right? Put a thumbs up and type Jackson State in the chat. Jackson State, Deion Sanders, Coach Prime. Type one of those in the chat. So if you are a student athlete at Jackson State University, HBCU, down in Mississippi, if you are a student athlete at Jackson State University, you will now be allowed to garner money for your name. So you can sign endorsement deals. You no longer have to wait till you're a professional athlete. You will be able to keep your eligibility, your college eligibility, and sign an endorsement deal. If the local Chevrolet lot wants to pay you for saying, hey, I'm Shador Sanders. This is Deion Sanders' son. I'm Shador Sanders, and my favorite truck is the Ford F-150. The Ford F-150 is all I drive, and you can drive off the lot with the Ford F-150 and for free, and they pay you. You get a free car, you can get your money, and they pay you, and still be able to be the quarterback at Jackson State University. No penalties, no nothing. They can pay you for your name, image, and likeness. You can host autograph stands and get paid for every autograph, $10 a ticket, whatever, just like the professionals. Just like the professionals. You can now get paid if you have a YouTube channel and it has 100,000, 200,000 subscribers and you get, hundreds of thousands of millions of views. You can now get paid for that and not lose your eligibility. That is what the name, image, and likeness laws that are going into effect for 18 states, not all 50, but 18 of them on July 1. But here's the thing. Let's go back to, so that was Jackson State, because Mississippi is one of those 18 states. I know that for a fact. You want to know why I know? Because Deion Sanders already says he has endorsement deals or people knocking at the door to come sign up his kids for endorsements. I heard Master P go on the Breakfast Club and say his son, who was going to Tennessee State University, I'm assuming Tennessee is part of the 18 states. He's going to Tennessee State University, and he said he has millions of dollars worth of endorsement deals signed up for his son, Hersey Miller, who will be a freshman at Tennessee State University. Shout out to Mark Webster. Good morning to you. Good morning to Kermit Alexander. Good morning over there on Twitter to SCG2955. Good morning to all you guys. Good morning to LC Mollett. We're tuned in. We tapped in. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button. Keep the chat coming. Ask any questions. We're going in because we're going in on the NCAA's decision, or no, the Supreme Court's decision to say what the NCAA is doing is illegal. But see, guys, this isn't anything new. The fact that it took to 2021 for this to finally come to fruition is kind of mind-blowing, right? Like, it's kind of astonishing that it took this long for this decision to finally come out. The last time the Supreme Court ruled on an NCAA decision was 1985. They've been using a model from 1984. The last decision was made in 85, and there's been no real significant opposition up until now. Now, you had the NCAA and EA Sports. They got in trouble when Ed O'Bannon led the you're using these guys' height, you're using these guys' weight, you're using these guys' attributes on these video games and getting millions and millions and billions of dollars, but these kids don't get anything. I remember playing NCAA growing up. I loved the game. I love college football. I love college basketball, but these guys weren't making any money. I mean, you had John Wall or whoever hitting a dance on the game, and he wasn't seeing a dime. Not to mention the University of Kentucky selling 1 million John Wall jerseys, 1 million Anthony Davis jerseys, 1 million name your favorite NBA player, Devin Booker, who's in the conference finals, and these guys weren't seeing a penny from that. But let them go out and sign their jerseys, the jerseys with their numbers. The reason why the people are buying these jerseys, let these guys go out and sign the back of those jerseys and get paid for it, and they wouldn't see a dime from it. And they would get penalized. Their eligibility would be taken away from them. Do you guys remember Terrell Pryor and the guys at Ohio State, how they got in trouble for selling? So Terrell Pryor, let's break this down, and then we're going to get back on topic a little bit. But it all correlates. Shout out to Mershon Daniels and all you guys, Wendell tuning in, B1. Terrell Pryor and his teammates, I forgot who else was in on it, but Terrell Pryor was the big name because he was the quarterback. He's the starting quarterback at Ohio State. They had just won a couple Big Ten titles, and you get gear. So you get rings, you get like special jewelry, special stuff like jerseys or whatever when you win Big Ten championships and when you win Rose Bowls and when you win bowl games. You get all these gifts, right? So Terrell Pryor was like, man, I'm good on these gifts. Like, I'm cool. I want some new tattoos. So Terrell Pryor, in exchange for paying for his tattoos, he gave his tattoo artist his championship gear, whatever. Like, he didn't care about it. He sold some of it and he exchanged a lot of it in efforts to get free tattoos. Well, not necessarily free. He's giving it's a bargain. I mean, it's a barter. Like you're exchanging something. Like, he traded his championship Ohio State gear in order to get tattoos. And so when that came out, it was like the end of the freaking world. These guys suspended Terrell Pryor, cost him millions of dollars. He had to, instead of going into the regular NFL draft, he had to go into the supplemental draft. Hell, the coach got fired. The coach of Ohio, I can't even think of the coach's name at Ohio State at the time. He was the national champion and got fired, all because Terrell Pryor and a couple of his teammates decided, we don't want this Big Ten gear, whatever. Like, we don't want this championship jerseys or these, it was the gold pants from like winning a Michigan game or something. So we're going to get some tattoos with it. Like, this is the lunacy that has been taking place with the NCAA for years, decades upon decades upon decades. And now, finally, after billions of dollars have been made, not millions, not 100 million, not 200 million, not 800 million. We're talking about tens, 20s, billions with a B. 10 to 20, 30 billion dollars. Jim Tressel, shout out to Mark. Yes, Jim Tressel was the head coach of Ohio State and got fired because of this. He got fired because all of this stuff went down. And then they went through the Luke Fickell stuff, and then they finally got Urban Meyer, so they ended up being all right, the university, because the university is always going to be all right. Because no matter what, if it's not Terrell Pryor, it's JT Barrett. If it's not JT Barrett, it's Cardale Jones. If not Cardale Jones, it's Justin Fields. The university is always going to get their players. But Terrell Pryor's career suffered because he had to go to the supplemental draft. He was deemed as a character flaw because he sold his own stuff. They labeled this man a distraction because he sold his own stuff and cost him millions of dollars at the next level. The NCAA has been getting over way too long. Think about this, guys. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe. So think about what the Supreme Court just ruled for, but we're going to talk about the floodgates that it's going to open because there's going to be more than one lawsuit. There's going to be so many damn lawsuits that the NCAA is just going to say, hey, man, look, like, we're just going to have to give up on this. Think about this. So the NCAA, the players or the representatives of the players had to sue to allow players to get paid internships, guys. They couldn't get paid internships. Any of you all that's been in college understand how critical an internship is, whether paid or non-paid, but especially the paid ones. We got bills. You got bills in college. You got apartments. You got rent you got to pay. You got to eat. If you're not on a meal plan, then if you're on student loans, you got to pay that stuff back. So the sooner and earlier that you can get paid, the better. They weren't allowed to get paid internships. Why? Because they were student athletes. That would take away their amateurism. Well, think about it, guys. Only so many of these student athletes are going to play a professional sport. Like 1%. Like literally 1% is going to play whatever they do at the collegiate level. They're going to play at a professional level. Like literally 1%. Like, shout out to my guy, Ronnie Baker. He's out of Louisville. He just he ran at the Olympic trials this weekend, and he's going to the Olympics. Ronnie Baker, he's out of Louisville. He went to TCU. At the Olympic trials for the United States, only the top 3 finishers were allowed to make it to the Olympics. Ronnie had to run a 9.85. He had to run a 100-meter dash in 9.85 seconds. And only 3 guys from the United States will represent our country at the Olympics. That's the professional for track. So you're telling me only 3 dudes in the country, 3 guys in the entire country will go represent the United States at the Olympics as their profession. So think about how many track runners there are in the United States. Think about how many there's 120-something Division I colleges. Then you add the non-Power 5 colleges. Then you add the HBCU colleges. And only 3 in his event, the 100-meter dash, get to go to the Olympics. So therefore, other than those 3, the other male track runners, 100-meter dash guys, couldn't get internships, paid internships in college. Hell, the university, who they make millions and I mean, Ronnie Baker, you can't put a dollar amount on the money that Ronnie Baker made at Texas Christian University. He went to TCU. You can't put a dollar amount on how much he probably made the university. as one of the fastest men in the entire world. There's not a dollar amount you can put on that. There's not a dollar. There's not. There's just simply not. He ran a 9.85 in the 100-meter dash. You can't put a dollar amount on how valuable he was to that university. A private university on top of that. And so, other than those three guys, nobody else is going from America is going to go run the 100-meter dash. Nobody else. Nobody else in the country. So, all those other guys that are really fast, probably run like a 9.9, a 10.1, a 10.01, a 10.02. They don't even get laptops from their school. It's illegal. They're not allowed to get laptops. They're not allowed to get paid internships. They weren't allowed for the longest to make money from their YouTube or even sell their own gear or even sign autographs for $10 a pop. You remember up until about 5-6 years ago when it's the guy from UConn, Shabazz Napier. He said, I would go to bed hungry. The men won UConn a national championship and said he was going to bed hungry. I mean, does that make any sense? You bring the University of Connecticut hundreds of millions of dollars every year, and you were going to bed hungry. So then they had to make the rule. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, that you were allowed to get unlimited snacks because they had student athletes going to bed starving. I mean, it just don't make any sense, guys. It was not making any sense for the longest. So, moving forward, what is going to happen? Why is this decision so huge? We talked about some of the things the NCAA has been able to get away, how they've been able to rob student athletes for years and years and decades and decades. But what is so critical moving forward? Why is this so big? Because it's going to open up the floodgates. And see, why this is also so frustrating is because the NCAA as an entity, as a governing body, could have got ahead of this, right? They've been knowing what they were doing was wrong. And so instead of adjusting their model, not modern day slavery, instead it'll be like, okay, let's start to adjust this, you know what I mean? And start to give these guys what they're worth. Give these guys compensation. Make sure these guys aren't going to bed, hungry after they just go out there and win us a national championship and brought in $1 billion to our organization. Think about it. March Madness by itself, just that month of March, brings in $1 billion to the NCAA, who then distributed between because of all the TV deals, their deals they have with Turner Sports or Turner Broadcasting. All their games get shown on TBS, TNT, True TV, all that stuff. They get $1 billion from those TV deals. That's just the TV deals. That's not including the people who actually go to the games or the advertising that takes place during the games. It's $1 billion industry for 1 month. College basketball starts in September or October or something. And then, don't get me started on football, because college football is a whole different ball game. College football is probably close to $1 billion every week. So, I mean, what's going to happen, and the sad thing about this, guys, what's so sad about this decision that comes out from the Supreme Court, remember, the Supreme Court justice voted 9-0 and basically said what the NCAA has been doing has been illegal, and the players and the guys representing the players should ask for more. What's going to happen, though? What's so sad about all of this? The Supreme Court, the highest court in the land, has come out and sided with the players. There's still the NCAA, and Mark Emmert, who was the president of the NCAA, is still going to fight this. He is still going to fight this. Why? Why do I know this? Because he's already done it. They are now going to try to go to Congress, which is the House of Representatives, the Senate, and potentially President Biden, to prevent any further legislation that will take money out of their pockets, their greedy pockets, and put it into the pockets of the players. Meanwhile, Texas, University of Texas, and USC, and Oklahoma, and Alabama could build these hundreds of $1 million stadiums and $100 million facilities, but there's no money. They always claim, oh, there's no money to go around to the players. There's no money for the players to get compensated. There's no money for us to do this because if we do this, then we got to do that. If we do that, then we got to do this. There's no money. There's no money. There's no money. But meanwhile, they're building $100 million renovations, making $100 million renovations, building $100 million of facilities. Anytime a recruit comes in, they make sure to show off their latest and greatest facility, jumbotron, big board, or whatever. But there's no money nowhere. Miss me with that, man. Miss me with that. And what, like I said, so sad. Now they're going to try to plead to Congress to prevent any further legislation from coming through. But that's not going to work. It's not going to work. Why? Because we're too smart now, man. I don't know if it's because, for the last 30 years or whatever, because like I said, it hadn't happened since 1985. Last 30, 35 years, 40 years, people weren't just smart enough or were too afraid. But now with the Supreme Court ruling, the Supreme Court has knocked the NCAA down a size. Now the bully isn't a bully anymore. I hit the bully in his face and he bled. The NCAA is bleeding. It's like when you're getting bullied and you just taking your licks from the bully. And then you hit the bully in his damn nose and you see he bleeds. It's like, oh, he's bleeding. I can whoop him. The players, the representatives, the lawyers, it's like, oh, we can win these cases. We already won. We won an important one. And Kavanaugh comes out and tells us we should be asking for more. Brett Kavanaugh, the Supreme Court justice, says what they're doing is illegal. So that means any other legislation that makes it to the highest court in the land is always going to rule with the players. It's always going to side with you guys because what they're doing is illegal. And I'm telling you it's illegal. You don't have to hear about it or, hear reports. Oh, reporter says, Brett Kavanaugh says what the NCAA is legal, but we don't know. It's unconfirmed. No. Kavanaugh wrote in his closing statements, his closing remarks like, yo, what they're doing is not right. You guys should be getting more money. Yeah, you're going to get unlimited educational resources, but you should be getting unlimited resources, period. Period. Not just for educational purposes. I mean, if you got a YouTube channel, you should be able to monetize it. If you're a big enough star to where somebody will pay you to be on their ads, then you should get it. And somebody will pay you and say, hey, be in my commercials. I'll give you X amount of dollars. You should be able to do that. And nothing should be able to stop you. Your amateurism. Amateurism, schmamateurism, man. Get out of here with that. How are we amateurs? We're bringing in hundreds of millions of dollars every year. Amateur status. We want to preserve their amateur status. What? What does that even mean? At this point, let's be honest, guys. Leave your thoughts in the chat. Please tell me. Please tell me. What does that even mean at this point? Everybody gets paid around the amateur. Everybody gets paid. The coaches get paid. The boosters get paid. The universities get paid. Hell, the student workers at the school that work the games get paid. Everybody gets paid except the athlete. So where is the amateur status in this? Now, there's this whole, one of the other arguments they used to make was, how do we accurately distribute the salaries? Allow the people to negotiate the salaries. When you're in the professional world, this is what this is. You can't say amateur status when everybody's getting paid. This is a profession. Like, yeah, they go to school. Yeah, they get an education. But we're talking about guys that bring in more money for their businesses / college than most people at their jobs after they graduate college. What one player means to one industry, college sports, means to that university, they probably make more money than most people do at their jobs. So allow them to negotiate what they make. If the quarterback is the star of the team, he gonna get paid the most. And Lamar Jackson is at the University of Louisville, and he can break in $100,000 deal, a $50,000 deal, and a $200,000 deal, and his backup or the starting left guard or whatever can only get $20,000 deals. Then I'm sorry, that is what it is. It's the same in the professional world. Me and you can have the same job, but we don't get paid what we're worth. We get paid what we can negotiate at anything, even in professional sports. People say Dak Prescott's overpaid, and he's not worth $40 million a year. He's not worth the $160 million that he got. He's not worth that. Dak's not worth that. It's overpaid. It's too much or whatever. You don't get paid what you're worth. You get paid what you can negotiate. You can get paid what the team or teams can deal without. So if the Cowboys thought that Dak Prescott wasn't worth $160 million, they wouldn't have gave it to him. But they gave him $160 million because that's what he negotiated. And they know what their team was like when they didn't have a quarterback. And they can look around the league, look at the Jets, and look at the Bears the last couple years, and look at the Lions when Matthew Stafford's hurt, and look at what's happening in Green Bay right now and say, I'd much rather have Dak Prescott than be going through whatever the hell they're going through. Look at the Washington football team in their own division. Look at the Eagles in their own division. It's like, yeah, I don't want to be like them. So I'm going to pay my guy. I'm going to make sure my guy doesn't leave. Oh, my goodness. Wendell says they were reaching for excuses. Absolutely. Absolutely, they were reaching for excuses, Wendell. But they were able to get away with it for so long. And instead of just adjusting, see, that's the problem, man. This is how old people or old way of thinking and old styles get left in the dirt. They get left in the dirt because people are unwilling to adjust. Think about this. Everything in life you have to adjust. If you were born in the 70s, you've seen a lot of things take place in this lifetime. You've seen the rise of the internet and the rise of social media and the rise of whatever industry, the electronic industry. And if you didn't adjust, you got left in the dirt. You're still old. You're still you're not using the latest things. You don't have an iPhone. You're not on Twitter. You're not doing this. And so you're getting left behind. Your business, especially if you're a business, you have to continue to adjust, continue to advance and progress and move forward. And the NCAA was stuck in their ways because they were greedy. They were too busy trying to be greedy. And now it's come back and bit them in the butt. You have to be able to adjust to change. You have to be able to move forward. You have to be able to progress. These kids out here going to bed hungry, and you're making hundreds of millions of dollars at the university. And if somebody buys them a meal, the kid gets penalized. Think about this. Chase Young, I have tons of examples, but these are the ones that just come off the top of my head. Chase Young, he played for The Ohio State University. He is the best player on the team, bar none. He was the second pick in the draft. He was a man amongst the boys. Chase Young, he wanted his girlfriend. You know, he plays at Ohio State, so his girl's probably from the Midwest or lives in Ohio, may have an apartment in Ohio. He plays at Ohio State. He's from D.C., so he's from clear across the country. He wanted his girlfriend to come see him play in the Rose Bowl. The Rose Bowl is in Los Angeles. The man plays in Ohio, which is in the Midwest. And he's from D.C., Maryland. He's from clear 2,000, 3,000 miles across the country. So wherever his girlfriend's from, is either coming from Ohio or from D.C. He wanted her to come see him play in L.A. at the Rose Bowl. It's the pinnacle of his career. It's the biggest game he's been in his entire career at the time. He gets penalized, suspended for 4 games because not a booster, not a person for the University of Ohio State, not whoever. He had a family friend, an uncle, somebody probably called Unc or whatever, paid for tickets for his girlfriend to see him play in L.A., and the next year, he gets suspended for it. Think about that. Now, anything could have happened to Chase Young. His draft stock could have plummeted. He could have been depressed because of that or whatever. Anything could have happened with this man psychologically, whatever. It could have hurt his draft stock, cost him millions of dollars. All because his family friend, probably a guy who calls his uncle, paid for his girl to come see him playing in the biggest game of his career. Now, in what world does that make sense? I have plenty of family members that aren't really my family members that would give me the shirt off their back and pay for me to do whatever if I needed it. What sense does that make? These are the kind of games the NCAA has been playing for decades now. And now the tables have finally turned. in favor of the players. And I'm super happy for it. I'm so glad that they will finally be able to make money off the things that they deserve to make money from. That includes their name, image, and likeness. That includes their YouTube channels, autograph signings. And it's just at 18 states. It'll be 18 states July 1. By August 1, it'll be 35, 40 states. Because here's the thing. Here's what's going to happen. There's only 18 states, right? And Kentucky's not one. That's where I live. But somebody at Kentucky, or if they decided to, and like, man, I want to host the autograph signing. The guys in Mississippi can do it. The guys in California can do it. The guys in, 18 states across the country can do it. Why can't I do it? What's going to happen if I do it? They're going to say I'm ineligible? Well, I just saw the Supreme Court come out and say what the NCAA does is illegal. So if I have the people behind me that can fund a lawyer and lawyer fees, I'm not going to be ineligible. I'll just appeal it. And if it goes all the way up to the highest court in the land, they're going to side with me. Because not only are 18 other states doing it, but the Supreme Court already told me in June of 2021 that this was allowed, that this was okay. They already told me that. Brett Kavanaugh said what they've been doing is illegal. So who's going to stop me? And that's the issues that the NCAA is going to run up against. That's why if they were progressive, that's why if they would have got ahead of this and made one governing body to allow all 50 states to do it, or to put rules and implications or whatever, but put a standard out there that will allow all of these guys to get paid in some way, shape, form, or fashion, they wouldn't be running into these issues. But instead of doing what I just said, putting something in place that it makes it even across the boards or all 50 states, they're going to fight this. They're going to try to send it to Congress, and they're going to lose again. They're going to lose again because the lawmakers are going to be on their side. They're going to hope that the lawmakers are on their side because some of these guys in the NCAA are probably, tight with some of the guys in Congress, but it doesn't matter because people are going to keep suing. New lawsuits are going to pop up. New rules are going to be or some of the old rules are going to be eliminated. And these guys are finally going to get paid what they're worth. Not only what they're worth, they're going to get paid whatever they can negotiate. And that's how it should be. Because the amateurism thing, that's out the window. That's baloney. That no longer applies. That's no longer applicable. It doesn't work. There's too much money being circulated and being made around these guys because of these guys and girls. Because of these guys and girls, there's too much money being made around them for us to say that they're amateurs. They're the reason why this money's there. If every athlete decided not to play said sport for said university, all of this money wouldn't be made. All of these ESPN and Turner Sports and Fox Sports, all of these deals these checks wouldn't be written. These deals wouldn't be made. These handshake agreements and all this stuff, these TV deals and advertising, it wouldn't be happening if it wasn't for the athlete. So no, the amateurism thing, get out of here with that. Miss me with that. It's baloney. It's phony. It's bogus. It's garbage. It's whatever. It's not a thing. It's not applicable. It's like pixie dust or fairy dust. It's poof. It's gone. Because these guys are a business, and they should be able to get paid what they can negotiate. I'm glad there's guys like Deion Sanders and coaches out there that are like, yo, man, like just imagine it. I mean, Deion has such a good perspective on it because not only was he a high-level player at the college level, he's College Football Hall of Fame. He was a high-level player at the NFL level, NFL Hall of Famer. He's the greatest cornerback to ever play the game. But he's been in those guys' shoes. He knows what would have happened if he would have been allowed to get this name, image, and likeness thing. Just imagine how much money Deion would have made before he got to the NFL. How much money Zion Williamson would have made before he got to the NFL. Even though, and think about it, college football players have to stay in college for 3 years. Now, basketball guys, for the high-level ones that are going to go play in the pros, it might not matter as much to them because they only spend 6 months in school anyway. But for football guys, the Lamar Jacksons of the world, Patrick Mahomes wasn't as popular in college, but the Baker Mayfields of the world, the Lamar Jacksons, the Deion Sanders, the Derrick Henrys, the Barry Sanders, these guys would have gotten paid. The Jalen Ramseys, these guys would have been rich in college as like 19-year-olds. It would have been rich. Like real deal. Anybody can market something. Leonard Fournette. You guys remember Leonard Fournette in college? What he was looked at as? How indestructible he seemed in college? Come on, man. It's only right. It is only right that these guys get what they are worth, get what they deserve, and get what they can negotiate. And I can't wait to see it. The floodgates are open, and we're going to stay on top of this as more and more decisions come down because the Supreme Court already said what the NCAA is doing is illegal. So now it's all about what is going to happen next. Once again, I'm Jeff Lightsy Jr. at the Black Boss Channel and Victory Formation. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and follow us on Instagram at VF Sports Show. We post content like this on there all the time. Thank you guys for tuning in with me. Hit the thumbs up button on your way out, and we will see you guys next time. Thank you. Peace.